Pittsburgh Steelers will head into the bye week and then return, and there's still plenty of growth left. At 3-2, even if you are sitting at the top of the AFC North, this team has plenty that they need to build on and way more before they hit their ceiling. And I expect 4 changes when the Steelers get back to start taking place. What's going on, everybody? I'm Noah Strackbine, and thank you for jumping on to Steelers to Go, your daily to-go cup of Pittsburgh Steelers news and analysis. Find us on youtube.com/allsteelerstalk and subscribe anywhere you get your podcasts. The Pittsburgh Steelers head into the bye week, and even if they haven't played their best football and there are still plenty of worries revolving around this team, there's optimism. And if you are in first place in the AFC North and the season ended today, you're the 3rd seed in the playoffs. You face the Baltimore Ravens, and you feel pretty good about that situation. And the season doesn't end today, and there's plenty to build on, but that's the big thing here is that we already talked about the launching pad and how the Pittsburgh Steelers have a place where if you're going to grow, this is a good place to grow from. It's much better than a year ago when you're sitting here at the bye week and you have a losing record and you just changed quarterbacks and things are not looking great, and you somehow have to turn everything around and get some sort of spark so that you could climb and fight your way to the postseason. And as we all know, they just missed it. This year is different. This year, you have a place where all you got to do is control your fate. All you have to do is keep winning. All you have to do is build on to a start that puts you in a place where you're not digging yourself out of a hole. You are just trying to adapt, trying to grow, trying to get better so that when the postseason does come and you've given yourself an opportunity, you could take advantage of that opportunity. When the Pittsburgh Steelers get back from the bye week, I expect 4 things to occur, 4 changes to start being implemented, and really just we're going to see 4 things that are a little different than the start of the season for the Pittsburgh Steelers. We're going to start on offense. It's the big one. It's the easy one. It's the one that I don't know where health-wise Dan Moore Jr. is, but when he does come back from a knee injury, Broderick Jones is going to start. Pat Myers said today to a group of reporters that he's going to evaluate everything and that there is no hard decision on who will start at left tackle once Dan Moore does return from his knee injury. But Broderick Jones right now is the starting left tackle, and I don't know how you remove him from that position. It's unfortunate. It's a situation that you never want to see. You don't ever want to see somebody lose their job because of an injury, but it was destined to happen almost. If Dan Moore was going to go down, if Dan Moore was going to miss any time, Broderick had an opportunity, and that opportunity was huge. If he messed it up, then it was Dan Moore Jr.'s job, and nothing changes, and the Pittsburgh Steelers are exactly where they are or were before Dan Moore went down. But Broderick Jones played well. If he continues to play well, the Steelers have no reason to put Dan Moore back in the ballgame. It just doesn't make any sense. You want Broderick Jones to develop. You want him to be your franchise left tackle. You want him to be the guy. The only way to get him to be the guy is to toss him into the fire and get him more reps and get him less raw and let him develop. Is he going to be perfect? No. Are there going to be struggles? Almost certainly. And there are going to be times where you look at Broderick Jones and say, man, he's got to work on that. But in the grand scheme of things, Dan Moore Jr. isn't a superstar. And even if he is a quality left tackle and somebody who provides decent reps from time to time, you want those hiccups from your rookie more than you want a veteran who doesn't really have the brightest future in Pittsburgh to replace him. Broderick Jones is going to be the left tackle moving forward. I fully anticipate that. I don't see how they change it and go back. And if they do change it and go back, it goes against really everything that they're talking about. The whole, we want to get better. We want a youth movement. We got to put these pieces into place. We're going to actually evaluate talent. Well, Broderick Jones is the most talented offensive lineman that you have. He's just the most raw offensive lineman that you have. And he got a good sample size to learn, and he learned throughout the summer, and I think that did so much good for him. But at some point, you take the training wheels off and you say, all right, this is the NFL, buddy. You got to see if you got it. And you're the 14th overall pick. And, well, until he shows I really don't got it, there's no point to pull him. I expect Broderick Jones to be the left tackle when the Pittsburgh Steelers come back. and I don't expect that to change. Next is the offensive game plan, or the approach to their attack after the bye week. Much like last season, it's going to be less Kenny, and it's going to be more Najee Harris. It's going to be more Jaylen Warren. I talked to Eddie Faulkner today, and he said straight up, they need Najee Harris and they need Jaylen Warren if they're going to keep winning. That's what makes this offense flow. It's clear as day that the running game is what makes this offense flow, and it's clear as day that they're probably the most reliable set of players that the Pittsburgh Steelers have on offense right now. I know Najee Harris is nothing spectacular in the eyes of many fans, but he gets the job done, and he's a good 1-2 punch with Jaylen Warren. And the two of them together, they do exactly what you're looking for to drive an offense. Allow Najee Harris to ground and pound, a couple yards here, a couple yards there, a couple yards here, a couple yards there. Jaylen Warren starts getting the hot hand. You let him rock, and you ride with him as long as you need to ride with him, and he gives you that spark plug that you need. I fully anticipate this to continue. Eddie Faulkner said that there is no better 1-2 punch in the NFL, and he laughed and he looked at me and he said, I have to say that. I'm their coach. But he truly meant it, and I kind of got the vibe that he fully understands that he sees the outside noise and he sees that people want just a one punch, but he sees the benefit in a 1-2 punch. And I think there's a really, really big benefit in the 1-2 punch. I think that what Eddie Faulkner has done to develop Jaylen Warren, but also allow Najee Harris to be Najee Harris is, well, it's a building block. It's what an offense should thrive off of. It's what, if you had a better game plan and your quarterback was clicking more, you'd be able to utilize that so much. Think about a quarterback like Josh Allen, or, Lamar Jackson does it all the time. Patrick Mahomes, any of these guys. You get a running game going, like the Pittsburgh Steelers have a running game from time to time, that quarterback is deadly, almost unstoppable. But the Pittsburgh Steelers, they're developing into that. And right now they have some hiccups in the quarterback position, and they have some question marks as a play caller. But the running game is solid, and you got to build from that, and you should not turn away from that. And I expect, just like last year, when the Pittsburgh Steelers come back from break, it is Najee Harris, Jaylen Warren, full steam ahead. Anthony McFarland works his way in there from time to time as he returns from injury, and the Pittsburgh Steelers run game, they're rolling, and they're carrying this team as far as they can carry them. Sticking with the quarterback, sticking with the attack, sticking with the benefits of a break and the benefits of getting healthy. I expect a better Kenny Pickett when we return from the bye week, and it's plain and simple. Deontay Johnson's back. Pat Freiermuth is going to be back. Anthony McFarland is going to be back. Darnell Washington is developing. And honestly, I think Roddy Williams is a guy that you keep around a little bit if you could, because I think he's got some talent. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers have weapons, and I think that the more comfortable their quarterback gets and the more calm he becomes as the season goes on, the better those weapons are and the more dangerous those weapons become. Kenny Pickett is a dude that it is not lack of talent right now. It is not, Kenny Pickett does not have the abilities to play quarterback. It is Kenny Pickett, we have no idea what's going on, but something's going on. We look at Kenny Pickett and we say, this dude's rattled at all times. The game is going way too fast for him. He's trying to make way too much happen. A lot of his inaccurate passes, it's like he's putting everything he's got onto that pass when really there's no need to do that. Just throw a football. You've been doing this your whole life. You're good enough at it to make it to the NFL, to be a first-round pick, to be a starting quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers. You don't have to put any extra juice on it. Just throw the football. You don't have to make crazy things happen. Just stay in the pocket. You got to trust the guys around you, and I think everybody has noticed and picked up on that at this point, but I expect it to slow down. I look at Kenny as a guy that he's rattled right now. He's not 100% in confidence. I think that'll come over time. I think the more the Pittsburgh Steelers win and the more that they kind of gain confidence as a whole and the more things start to slow down, things will be fine. At some point, the whole talking about how bad the Steelers offense is will just kind of get old and just be noise. And that noise will just be repetitive. And it gets to a point where it dulls down. And everybody talking about how Matt Canada isn't it and how Kenny Pickett is struggling, it's just almost going to become white noise. When it does, I expect Kenny Pickett to play better because He's not going to be focused on the negativity. He's not going to have to overcome all these people bagging on him. At some point, everything slowly fades. And when everything slowly fades, Kenny Pickett's going to get better. And adding Deontay Johnson, adding Pat Freiermuth, adding Anthony McFarland, man, the wonders that is going to do and the good that is going to do. Maybe I'm optimistic, but I see a better Kenny Pickett on the other side of the break than he was going into the break. And finally, the big one, more Joey Porter Jr. He is not going to start, and it's unfortunate that the Pittsburgh Steelers aren't going to let him start, but he's going to play starter quality minutes. Stephen Thompson said it on the podcast yesterday, and I very much so agree with him. It doesn't have to be a Joey's out there for snap one of a ball game. There's no need for that. If you want Patrick Peterson and Levi Wallace to be listed as your starters, so be it. But Joey Porter Jr. is going to play a hefty amount of snaps, and he's going to grow, and they're finally going to let him out there, and they're finally going to test him, and that's the biggest thing. Allow this guy to get tested. Allow this guy to make mistakes. Allow this guy to overcome mistakes. Allow this guy to put his back against the wall and have big moments against him consistently and see what he does. Because so far he's handled them well, and he's not going to handle every single one of them well. And he's going to have his mess ups, and he's going to have moments that he wishes he had back. But that's how you get good in the NFL. That's how you develop into a superstar. And the Pittsburgh Steelers want Joey Porter Jr. to be a superstar. So let him develop. Stop holding him back. Stop making excuses that he's not ready. I don't think the Pittsburgh Steelers have any left at this point. I think that as they head into the break and as they return from the break, Joey Porter Jr. is a piece that they have to put out there and they have to give more reps to. And I don't know what's going to happen with those more reps, but I anticipate them coming, and I anticipate him becoming a bigger part of this defense, and hopefully a positive one, and one that by the end of the season, I hope is good enough that you already know, well, he's the starting cornerback next season. He's their CB1 next season. It's about getting pieces around him because he's their guy. He's their building block. I hope that comes. I expect it to come. But what I almost guarantee is that when the Pittsburgh Steelers return and they head to Los Angeles in Week 7, Joey Porter Jr. is on the field way more than he's been, including the Baltimore game. I expect a full workload and one that the Steelers could reap the benefits from.